Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Women's AM. As promised, we have with us Lauren Booth, an outspoken writer and broadcaster who is also the sister-in-law of Tony Blair, whom she courageously was publicly critical of. Lauren is here today to talk about her book, Finding Peace in the Holy Land, a British Muslim memoir. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Wa alaikum salam.
First of all, it's a massive pleasure having you on the show for the very first time. So this is a landmark moment for us. Lauren,
You've been trying for ages. You've been trying for ages. I've been trying for ages. Inshallah. Big fan of the show. Keep up the great work.
Jazakallah khair. Congratulations on this book. That's why you are here. Now, can I just say, my mind is a bit rattled for the reason that my whole weekend has been about you and your book. I've been living in your mind. I've been living in your mind literally, and now you're here right now, so it's messing with my mind a bit.
Right. Okay. That's the risk about the memoir, is that you're putting a lot out there. But do you know the difference between an autobiography and a memoir?
I was actually going to ask you that.
Okay. So first of all, an autobiography, you have to be a kind of mad level of celebrity, like a politician or a footballer. Okay, so that's the autobiography, but there's another thing. A memoir has a theme running through it. So you get to pick the pieces of your life which are most relevant to the theme. And this is a pilgrimage from doubt and careerism and life expectations into something else. It's a spiritual journey.
I love that description, and I think so many people are going to be able to relate to that. I can relate to that, and I've pre-ordered my copy already, and I cannot wait to get started.
Yeah, it's on Amazon, it's out there.
Alhamdulillah. That theme that you mentioned, one of the things that I realised in the book was the significance of your inquisitiveness right from early on. First of all, I didn't expect to find what I found in this book, and I did not know you at all until I read this book, Mashallah. But you are, as a child, you were very inquisitive, and you kept coming back to that theme, that questioning, that wondering, that relationship with God, back and forth, the half conviction and then the no conviction, and that journey, and to have that as a child is quite significant. You must have been quite mature, but the fact that it kept coming up in your life and then you were forced to address it.
You know, we're told in the Quran that children are spiritual beings, and then they're untaught the questions.
Absolutely.
And so I experienced that. But luckily my family, my father was, they were in this hippie lifestyle, if you like, of the 1970s, so they had questions. Now, it took us into weird realms. Mind reading, we should use more of our mind, and we should be aware. But the unseen, dreams, but Christianity was only Christianity light, and I really wanted to pursue who is God and what is God, and those questions remained, and when I couldn't get an answer, that's when I left.
But you were forced to find the answers to the questions. I think there are a lot of things. You talk about qadar wal qadar, you talk about Allah's plan, and the way, which is quite amazing. You see how the pieces fit together, how you end up in certain places, and as an observer, to be able to see Allah's plan and all of it unfold, mashallah, is quite amazing. Another thing that struck me about the book was every single chapter had a title, but also started with an ayah of the Quran that was actually relevant to what you were about to mention in your memoir. Why did you do that?
There are actually different. I also quote modern philosophers and some pop singers, but the main ones are the Quran. But I didn't do every chapter of the Quran. It's nice because we read everything with that jumping out of us. I wanted a variety of voices, but what was important was to get some Quran in there. So that it's an access point to anybody who reads this.
Do you know what I was going to ask you? Who was your target audience when you thought about writing this? Who are you writing it for? Is it?
This should be accessible to everyone. Because it's a modern adventure story. I mean, you will have seen that there are some incredible things that happen. I went to Gaza by boat with some of the most random, incredible people.
I have to say, Lauren, you are a very courageous woman. Even before Islam came along, the risks that you took for human rights, for the people of Gaza, going on that boat, clearly knowing the risks that you were putting yourself under, being sort of left in Gaza without the government helping you to come out. There's so many occasions where you had a certain courage. Has that been strengthened by you coming to Islam?
I do want to say something. The people living in Palestine are the people of courage. The people in Idlib right now, they are the people of courage. So this and the people, there were other people on the boats. So we all have it in us. And it's just pulling that out and really, what do we choose to make as our important points?
Yeah.
What are we aiming for in life? And I think, you know, what came through from the writing of this book was, wow, this was a journey of truth. This was a journey of truth-seeking from the beginning. And how much of a you know, a choice I had about that, only Allah knows. But I felt free to pursue it.
Yeah.
Allah gave me the freedom to pursue it, but the guidance was there.
I have to say, I didn't expect it to be so adventurous. There's actually so much, you've gone through, lived a pretty good life, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah.
It's very adventurous, but it's also very humorous. There's so many instances where I giggled, I laughed out loud.
Which bit made you
There's
laugh?
one bit, I literally had the phone in my hand, you sent me the PDF, I was reading it out. And that was the bit when you fell on the lap of the leader of the Al-Fatah movement in Palestine.
It was actually...
And can I just say, you actually thought, oh, phew, he's not some sort of Islamic cleric.
Yeah, yeah. So I was actually in Makata in 2005 for the Mail on Sunday in order to cover the Palestinian elections that were happening there. And it was my first or second day in the West Bank. And so everything is shocking. There are rabbis there campaigning against Israel, which really threw me out. And it's just so an assault on the senses. And at one point I back down some steps and I sit on a man's lap. And he's disabled, and that's bad enough. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, at least he's not a Muslim cleric. And then I realise he's the leader of the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade.
Oh my gosh.
And so I'm invited to do an interview, and that interview is in the book, and what I took away from that and what that experience was
That is
like.
quite a special moment. Even as a reader, you feel the tense atmosphere. Mashallah, you've written it really well. You can really feel it. I really do feel like I've been in your mind, and I'm not out of it yet.
I hope you're healthier because of it. I hope it's a healthy mind.
I have to say, mashallah, even myself as an individual, it's touched me on so many levels. It's re-motivated me, inspired me in so many areas that, you know, as we all have our struggles, we all have our difficulties. And even as a Muslim, it's done that for me. But I can see it being very accessible to non-Muslims as well, the way in which you tackled a lot of the concepts.
Absolutely. See, I
and
wanted
the
to
belief
actually give
system.
this to my mum because it's really hard for me to explain the journey to somebody who's on a completely different wavelength. But I think from hearing it from a third party, and you know, written in, mashallah, as it is an eloquent and accessible manner, I think it's really going to help a lot of people.
I actually did think, because my lifelong neighbour and family friend, who's suffering from cancer now, she's not Muslim, but she's like my second mom. And I've found it challenging discussing Islam with her, and I thought, this is what I'm going to give her.
Because she'll enjoy it.
Yeah,
and it's honest. And the reason that it's so honest is because I took it from my diaries. And when I went back to diaries, so I always thought, because I worked, obviously, 1998 at the Islam channel for several years. I've had shows on here, and I met Muhammad Ali, and he was one of Muhammad Ali. You get a mention, my brother, so you better read the book as well. And all of that is humorous. I learned from the Islam channel that Muslims can laugh, that there's a sense of humour. And I remember seeing some Qari, some young brothers who were just reciting Quran one night when I was planning to go out and get drunk afterwards, and I thought, there's something in this. That teenagers can be doing something so beautiful while I'm doing something else. And it's an honest, it's an honest
It really
book.
is. It's a very honest and a very human book. It deals with the human emotions. And alongside making me giggle, the parts that actually really did make me cry, I was sitting there with tears running down my eyes. And one of them was this young brother who you did your last minute shopping at the market stall in the West Bank. And he bought all these things, probably about worth £100. And then he ran and bought you the Quran. And he's like, okay, how much do I owe you? Ready to haggle. And he's like, no, this is for you. And he really insisted. And what he said, he was just one thing that I ask from you, that's all. Don't forget Palestine when you go home. Remember us, please. And he said, his words entered my heart, and twin rivulets began to weave the familiar route beneath my eyelashes. The lad was suddenly tearful too, embarrassingly left. But that moment, and that comes back throughout your book, that I can't forget. I can't forget. I can't just go there. I owe them, I forget.
And that sense of love and duty and kindness that I met there. And it's so interesting that so many roads, so many books, when people say I was looking for truth, they come through Jerusalem. What is it about that city of peace, Jerusalem? We can't explain what that is. But I received my first ever Quran in English on the rainy streets of Jerusalem from a stranger whose name I don't know. But I pray for him every single day. you know, because he did a great thing for me.
Yeah.
It was that young man who said that the one thing I ask is that you just don't forget us. I have to say, Lauren, it's not just spiritual is a key part of the book, but it's also very political. It makes you a lot more politically aware. So there's a lot of historical facts in there. It's educational. You pretty much get everything in that book. So why did you write this book, really? I mean, we don't have long to go, maybe a minute or so,
Okay.
but really.
So I saw a gap. I saw a gap in accessibility. I saw a gap in the reality of looking at people's journeys, spiritual journeys, and I definitely saw a gap there that people should know about spirituality in Islam and what it means to pray 5 times a day and how a heavy drinking journalist can go on this journey, and all of the people that I've met on the way. May Allah Ta'ala bless them and bless you, and may it enlighten all of our hearts.
Ameen. Ameen. Do we have another book to look forward to as adventurous as this one?
It will be a book about after Islam. So after I've come to Islam and all the characters I've met and the beauty and the fun and the strangeness and the amazing life of that.
That's fantastic. A celebration of your time as a Muslim. I look forward to
Mashallah.
that.
I mean, we've
Inshallah.
come to the end of the show, but one final question. What do you want people to take away from your book?
I want people to take away the fact that this is a beautiful faith and it's accessible to everybody, and don't give up on your spiritual journey.
And I think you end with the last words before an ayah of the Quran, pick up the Quran at least once. And I think that was a lovely message to end with for everybody, Muslims and non-Muslims. Thank you so much for being here. Jazakallah khair. May Allah make this a blessing and may Allah make it successful. Ameen, Ya Rab. Ameen.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Shaheen.
Thank you very much. That's it for today. But don't forget, if you have any comments, questions, or would just like to give us your feedback, we would love to have them. You can post on our social media page, facebook.com/womensam.tv, or email us on myic@islamchannel.tv. Catch my breath. Thank you for watching. See you again tomorrow at 11 a.m. inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.